Welcome back to another of Hannah's modern-day parables. This one is called The Fabric of Grace. She spent years asking God to restore what she'd lost, never realizing He wanted to give her something far greater. Chapter 1. Grace's name had become synonymous with elegance. For over 20 years, her designs had graced the runways of Paris, Milan, and London Fashion Week. Fashion editors praised her creativity. Celebrities competed to wear her gowns. Every season brought another standing ovation. She had everything she had ever dreamed of. The applause, the recognition, the invitations to exclusive parties, the friendships with actors, musicians, and royalty. From the outside, her life looked perfect. Then one ordinary holiday changed everything. Malta was supposed to be a chance to rest. A few close friends suggested hiring jet skis. Grace laughed. Why not? It was meant to be an afternoon of fun. Instead, it became the day her old life ended. The collision happened in seconds. Chapter 2. The recovery took months. When Grace finally returned home, the doctors gave her news she never imagined hearing. The damage to her left arm was permanent. She would never regain full movement. For most people, it was a devastating injury. For Grace, it felt like losing her identity. How could a fashion designer design without the arm that had spent decades cutting patterns, pinning fabrics, and bringing impossible ideas to life? The sketches stopped. The sewing machines fell silent. The invitations disappeared. So did many of the friends. Night after night, she wandered through her studio. Mannequins stood dressed in unfinished gowns. Rolls of expensive fabric gathered dust. Every unfinished dress reminded her of the woman she used to be. Overwhelmed by grief, Grace did something she had never done before. She prayed, "God, please heal my arm. Please give me my old life back. Let me return to the runway. Let me create again. Let me be who I was." Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Months became years. But her arm remained unchanged. Eventually, her prayers turned into questions. "Why won't you answer me? I've asked. I've believed. I've waited. What more do you want from me?" One rainy afternoon, she wandered into a small church simply to escape the weather. An elderly woman sat quietly mending a torn coat. Grace watched as she carefully selected a piece of brand new fabric. Just as she was about to sew it onto the old material, she stopped. She smiled at Grace. "You know, if I stitched this new cloth onto this old coat, the first wash would make the new cloth shrink. It would pull away from the old fabric, and the tear would become even worse." Grace smiled politely. "Yes, that's right. I used to design clothes. I know." The woman nodded. "So did the people Jesus was speaking to." Grace looked puzzled. The woman opened her Bible and began reading gently. "No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse." Grace frowned. "I don't understand." The woman closed the Bible. "I think you've been asking God to stitch a new patch onto your old life." Silence. "You keep asking Him to restore yesterday, but perhaps He's inviting you to step into tomorrow." The words lingered. Chapter 3. That evening, Grace returned to her empty studio. For the first time, she stopped staring at the unfinished dresses. Instead, she noticed something she had overlooked for years. On a shelf sat hundreds of design journals, ideas, sketches, concepts, wisdom gathered over a lifetime. She couldn't sew the dresses anymore, but she could teach others how to. Within a year, her studio became an academy. Young designers traveled from around the world to learn from her. Some went on to design collections she could never have imagined. One afternoon, as she watched a young student complete a breathtaking gown, tears filled her eyes, not because she wished it had been hers, but because she finally understood. God hadn't ignored her prayers. He had answered them differently. She had been asking Him to repair an old garment. He had been creating an entirely new one. The moral of the story: Jesus said, "No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse." Scripture taken from Matthew chapter 9 verse 16. Jesus wasn't teaching about clothing. He was revealing that his kingdom could not simply be added to an old way of living. Many of us ask God to restore the life we once had. We ask Him to repair our plans, our dreams, our careers, our comfort. But sometimes God isn't trying to take us back. He's leading us somewhere we've never been. The gospel isn't a patch on our old life. It is an invitation into a completely new one. Hannah's reflection. I think there's one sentence here that is an unforgettable line of the whole parable. She spent years asking God to restore the garment she had torn, meaning her old life, while God was patiently preparing her to wear one she had never imagined. The sharing of wisdom and knowledge onto the next generation of designers. To me, that captures the heart of Matthew 9:16. Grace wanted her old life mended. Jesus wanted to clothe her in a new calling. That doesn't minimize her grief, no. It honors it while showing that God's purposes can extend beyond what we first ask Him to restore.